What is up, guys? It is Speed here, and I realized that I haven't made a video on Underlord for over 4 months, and so today what we're going to be looking at is the 56% win rate beast from Resolution. You know, he pops off on this hero. I want to talk about all the new items you should be building, how you should approach this hero in the laning stage, what objectives you should defend, how you get farmed, and everything in between to make sure you're popping off on Underlord. Also, I want to ask you guys a quick question. If you're interested in learning about the offlane, I recently just made a bristleback course on the GAMELEAP website, and of course, there's also a ton of other content. I've recently also made an Immortal 2 treasure opening, so if you're interested in seeing me open up the Immortal Treasure 2, I also just posted that reaction to the website as well. And finally, the last thing that I want to mention is that you can sign up down below, and I made a couple mentality videos recently. So if you're a player who commonly tilts, you know, you can't stay focused, you're struggling, well, what you want to do is sign up to the website because I just made a couple videos. And one in particular is where I talk about how to learn and enjoy the process of losing, right? You need to learn how to accept losing. I go into depth about that. It's kind of like a motivational speech that will get you untilted. And yeah, go check it out. Click the link down below, sign up right away. And I hope to see you guys there. Alright, so let's hop right into it with a little bit of a Rune Fight. And on top of that, this is actually a lane that I brought up in one of my recent videos, which was the Rubik Underlord lane. I've been saying for a bit now that, hey, this is a very, very strong lane. Just for the fact, right, that this lane, what it allows you to do is reduce a lot of damage. You can see that whenever the Fade Bolt comes out on top of the Underlord E, they do very little damage. Also, let's get into the items a little bit. This is an item build that I've seen become more and more common within the current meta, and that is 6 tangos, 1 salve, a ring of protection, and a quelling blade. Having this much regen with a ring of protection, which gives you effective HP, is very strong, especially against a PA bounty hunter lane. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So in terms of the laning stage, you really have 2 main goals as Underlord. The first one is to zone out the safe laner and protect your support. So just general trading, right? You want to keep your support alive, you want to zone out the safe laner with the absurd amount of HP regen and armor that you have. And then the second one, and the most important one, is to get every single last hit and deny. And frankly, this hero, when you're playing him, you should get almost every single last hit and nearly every deny. I mean, your damage is so high. In this upcoming clip here, you're going to see that Resolution ends up going down. And honestly, I'm not going to say this is a good thing, but even though he goes down, he's made them commit so many resources because he's been trading so much and so well with his Q and his extra damage throughout the lane. And therefore, it really doesn't matter if you end up going down. Now, is this optimal? No, not necessarily. Ever since they made kills worth 100 experience instead of 40 base, they've mattered significantly more. But do keep in mind that it is very important that you are using your spells and trading with your opponent a lot as Underlord early on, as long as you eat a couple tango. The next thing I'd like to mention is that he takes his E at level 3, and I really like this. I personally wish that more Underlords did this, especially if you're just playing your average pub, because what it does is it allows you to have an insane amount of damage, right? It gives you 5 damage per creep, reduces damage by 15%, which is absurdly high, and increases the duration that you actually have it by 15 seconds. That's so long, right? It's so long. And so yeah, I'm a huge fan of taking this second point in E, and really what you want to do is structure all of your focus around denies, and last hits, of course, right? When you do this, all of a sudden, if you get good at it, not decent, right? But if you get good at it, you are going to have an insane amount of advantage in every laning stage. So much so to the point where you can see, okay guys, look at this. So you see how the Underlord right now is level 3 and the PA is level 4.5? Like, it seemingly the lane is going really poorly, right? Well, what we have to note is that Underlord is still a level above, right? It's because his last hits are very good. He's griefing the PA. And this is how it should go. You are very much like a Bristleback, right? When you play against Bristleback in lane, the biggest advantage that I see for Bristleback at low MMR pubs is that because when he's going so aggressive and he's messing with you, all these low MMR players, it's the reality guys, miss a lot of CS. They can't handle the pressure and last hitting at the same time like pros can, right? So that's a skill you also have to develop in Dota if you want to get up to the next level, right? Being able to focus on 2 different things. And Underlord does about the same thing, right? The PA just casually is always missing 10 damage. That's so much. That's so much, it's going to throw off her perception of when she needs to hit the creep, and therefore she's just going to miss a lot. And upcoming here is the best time to actually cast your Q in the lane, and what it is anytime someone goes on one of your teammates, because it basically guarantees that they're going to overcommit and stay inside of your Q. And you can see the nice little lift into throwdown combo. And yeah, it's just so much damage, and really, this is what Underlord is so good at. He's so good at defending his supports. If they ever get gone on, you just have to respond because you chunk people. The major weakness of Underlord is what, guys? It's his inability to chase, right? This hero doesn't have a good chase spell. Pit of Malice is absolute trash for that. Do not skill it. It won't help you, right? It really will not. However, when your teammates are getting gone on, all of a sudden, your spells do significantly more damage and actually get their full value, like you see in that clip right there, where they pick up the kill onto the bounty hunter. In terms of items that he's built here as well, I love these. This build is just so good to me. I love this so much, just seeing it. You could tell his game plan is just to be a pillar of annoyance, right? He is a pillar of annoyance. He has a soul ring and a bracer, right? And now soul ring gives you a lot of strength, well, what it was in the past, 6, 2 armor, right? And then you pick up this bracer, which gives you HP regen, which helps you with the soul ring. And of course, with all the regen that you bought earlier, you can actually sustain the soul ring. It really is, in my opinion, a really good build. You can see that they're trying to go on him, but he's just way too tanky, right? And now they get baited in. They commit on him. He's so tanky to the point where he just kills both of them. Imagine if you're your typical Underlord that you watch in your pub, and you go Mana Boots, do you think you would win that fight, right? Also, if he queued earlier, right, if he committed the Q when they were on the lane instead of when they were chasing him, he also would have lost the kill. So remember, guys, Underlord Q is particularly effective when someone is getting chased. One play that you should also be making once you get towards the 7, 8, 9 minute mark is side pulling. It's very important to side pull, well, on any offlaner when you want to farm, but it's particularly good on Underlord because what it allows you to do is simply sit behind your creep wave and last at the creeps, right? It's just a good way make sure that you can secure a little bit more farm and shut down carries once you've won the lane. So Resolution is about to respawn in 7 seconds, and let's look at the minimap to see what he does. He has the option to go top and deal with this diving Magnus. Now does he? Does he? He doesn't. Now a lot of people would call this crazy. A lot of Grimstrokes in this case would flame Resolution until the game ends for this. But why does he do this? Why? Because he would rather mess with the PA. He would rather make sure she doesn't have good farm. I mean, already look at her net worth. It's really not nearly as good as what she would like, right? So her net worth getting shut down. He would rather take over the bottom lane and leave the map open for the Terrorblade. The only thing I would say is that maybe if he doesn't go bottom here, he could leave the bottom lane open for the Terrorblade, and therefore it would be better for TB's game. But all in all, him going back to bottom is going to force rotations, and frankly, him TPing into a very farm Magnus lane with a Clockwork that's lurking is bad. Clockwork is a hard Underlord counter. It just is. You can't cast your spells, you barely can auto attack him, and he does an insane amount of damage. So yeah, I really like the fact that he's avoiding that matchup. He understands how bad it is, and if he TP's top into that bad action, this Nature's Prophet mid that is on the enemy team would just TP up and kill him, and his game would be over. He would have no TP, he would die again, and have no net worth. So instead, Resolution just says, I'm not going to defend a tower, that's suicide. I'm just going to let it die. Right now, he lets it die, and the Grimstroke can safely farm top. So it really doesn't matter that it died. That tower doesn't do anything. In fact, it almost just lets them get more farm. And honestly, what you're going to see here, this is what we like to call a space. So he's got the stick, the soul ring, the phase boots. By the way, in terms of builds, yeah, you do want to pick up a stick if you think it's a good stick game. Definitely against PA and such, it's good. Then you want to go phase boots into Vanguard. This is going to be good basically every single game. And yeah, this is space, right? If you get really farmed or have a better lane even than what Resolution have, which you easily could considering your opponents will likely be 10 times worse, you can just kind of do this where you just run at them bottom. You cut the creep waves, you force rotations. And now because of that, I'm not going to say that was great for them. You don't want to just commit suicide over and over again. However, the Terrorblade is going to have a lot of farm. I mean, my man is not getting contested at all. And this is obviously their win condition in combination with a relatively farmed Timbersaw. And now here he's once again gone bottom. And I really think this goes to show what Resolution's perspective on this game is. And that is that the enemy team has way too many counters. And this is a hard thing to recognize. It's hard to say like, oh, you know, they just have so many heroes that are going to kill me that if I go top, I'm dead. And so yeah, I think it's a good recognition because Terrorblade in this game actually can farm top, right? He can just throw out a couple of illusions there as Resolution gets ganked once again. But you can see that he just clearly thinks that, hey, my job this game is to bait in the enemy team and force decent fights. It's not always going to be easy for them, right? But he has to continuously create space for them. Also, the skill build is really weird from Resolution. I personally do like it though, and recently they changed Atrophy Aura to the point where it actually scales very well in terms of bonus damage per creep. And so the build here that Resolution is going is very much based upon actually right-clicking in the early game. Because your E lasts for 75 seconds and gives you so much damage, you just constantly hit for like 200. I'm not kidding. So much so to the point where this PA tries to contest this, and every single auto attack just chunks about 1/10 of her health, which is pretty nuts. And yeah, you're gonna notice that he is really split pushing a lot, alright guys? Now, I think he could defend mid-tower. You could argue, oh, shouldn't Underlords be defending mid-tower speed? Well, absolutely, but let's look at the current game state. They have a Rubik, one of the best tower defenders in Dota, and Grimstroke, the second best tower defender in terms of position 5s, right? Both of these heroes are up there. Long-range nukes, that's the best spells in the game for defending towers, period. And therefore, he doesn't have to do that this game, right? He has someone else who can do it. And that's great, because then he can just amplify his farm, right? He can just focus on pushing in the wave, then killing a side camp. And this is how I want you guys to look at Underlord. I want you to look at yourself as the hard farm taker, right? You're the guy who's going to push in creep waves very far. Now, don't commit suicide. You're going to see here that he expects him to be ganking bottom, and therefore he's actually going to be TPing bottom, but he shoves in the wave, gets the farm, and potentially shows up to the fight. That's a cool little play you can make to actually split push and be like a semi-Spectre with a mini haunt. Keep that in mind. It's a really cool play to amp your farm and show up to fights. And honestly, guys, like, that's why this hero I think is so good. If you get down the pattern of him, it's really just rinse, repeat, which is shove in a wave, hit the nearest jungle camp, shove in a wave, look to take a fight, shove in the wave, take the hard farm, run at the enemy team, which I suppose is the case for every hero, but for Underlord it's very, very easy to do because you're just so tanky, and you push in waves very easily. Your Q is just one of the best wave shove abilities in Dota. And so I'm going to set a bit of a goal for you guys. For everyone watching this, if you play Underlord, you have to get to this objective that I'm going to be saying here. And what that is you need to have 150 last hits at minute 20. If you do not, you're not playing it properly. You're not farming enough. You're not splitting up the map. You're too focused on fighting. Underlord needs to be played to get items, right? This hero, that's like the biggest advantage of him. It's an offlaner that farms very, very quickly, and rightfully so. He has just so many ways to disengage as well once he has his ulti. Upcoming here, we see a very important decision from Resolution that I want to discuss. So they currently take a fight around the Roshan pit. They're against a Prophet PA Magnus comp, and therefore the enemy team 100% can Rosh, right? They 100% can Rosh. In fact, they are going to Rosh right now. So Resolution, being the top tier player that he is, instantly scouts this out, and with no hesitation, TPs up and understands this is my job to defend. The TB can't do anything, so he throws in a Q from very far away and pushes the enemy team out of the Roshan pit. And that's really all he had to do. One Q and one Pit of Malice on the hill was plenty to stall up the entire fight and prevent the enemy team from doing absolutely anything. And so yeah, if you feel like your team can't actually defend objectives such as towers or Roshan, like in that case when he was the only one alive, then you should do it, right? Then it's your job. But other than that, you really do want to split up the map. You can see here he was walking bottom until his Terrorblade was taking it. And at this point we see a very fantastic bait from Resolution. Now he ends up going a Force Staff, and I'll be clear guys, the primary reason why he's going to buy a Force Staff is twofold. Sprout, but most importantly Cogs. Right? Also, the enemy team is very much based around right clicks, and anytime you can Force Staff against physical damage, basically causes them to overcommit very hard. And so yeah, it's a very good Force Staff game for Resolution. So he ends up getting gone on here. You can see that he's taking particularly aggressive farm. Why can he do that? This is not purely just Underlord being Underlord. It is largely because his team is in position. He knows where his team is. Do you see where he backs to? Most players would back like this, right? They would instantly walk back towards their tier 1. However, Resolution goes into the trees to stall up some time, and his team is on the south side, right? So when they end up going on him in a second here, which you'll see as he baits them once again, he throws up a God Pit of Malice. It's impossible for the enemy team to fight in this. There's no way around it. Hits him up with the Q. Timbersaw comes in. Baited. Dead. Now this is just a God fight. The Prophet TP's in a little bit too far. TB cleans him up. And it's GG. I'm kidding. It's not GG, but you can see that that's such a beautifully played fight from him. And just keep that in mind, guys. Make sure you are the bait. One of the best ways you can win MMR is being tanky enough to start fights for your team. That's why Ogre Magi and Jakira have high win rates in low MMR pubs. It's a very, very simple concept. However, most people just never ever use it, or I guess understand it. But the more damage you take, the less your carry Terrorblade has to take, and therefore he'll kill people. And now let's look at a bit of a high ground fight, and you're going to see the power of the Underlord. See, the enemy team wants to start off the fight, but he pops the Crimson Guard, making it very hard for them to kill him. Really nice Force Staff onto the Timber, right? Anytime you're going up high ground, you want to force the fight back to here. So if you're the team on the offense, you need to kite backwards. Kite backwards. Never kite in. Never fight in. It's all I see from Lower pubs. All they do is dive. Right? Just don't do it. Also, quick look at the talents. He completely skipped his level 10 talent, which I think makes a lot of sense. And it's not that they're that bad. The Underlord skills scale so well, so he goes all the way from the level 10 talent, skipping it, and clicks the level 15 talent, which yes, you actually can do. All you have to do is when you hit level 15, just click the talent. It might seem like you can't, but you can. And now we see the fight here. He has the God Pit of Malice ability. It just covers like the entire map, like literally no joke. It goes from ancient to ancient. And the fight's over, right? The Prophet pops his BKB, but because they've kited out, it's going to be very hard for them to take the fight. And yeah, that's the key to winning Dota fights. You tank a lot of damage, you pop your auras, and you force the enemy team to kite into you, right? You want them to chase, and the more they chase, the better. And that's what Underlord does by reducing damage and buying aura items. Upcoming here is just a crazy play, guys, and I'll talk about it from a very high level analysis, just so you understand every moving part, but currently, they're moving up the high ground, and there's a couple of weird parts. So, there's a DD on Terrorblade, which matters. He's picking up a Solar Crest to buff up this Terrorblade, and you might be saying, Speed, how are they walking up this high ground? Especially considering the Terrorblade has no Aegis. Why can they do this? Well, there's one reason in particular, actually just one reason exactly, and what this is that Magnus has no RP. And because of that, because of the fact that Magnus has no RP, Sunder is near guaranteed. Now, there still is Hookshot, Power of Cogs back, a Bounty Hunter Shuriken, I guess, somewhat of an Orchid, but, TB is meta, and he's very tanky. So, yeah, I think they just decided, hey, the major ability that will prevent Terrorblade from getting Sunder off is down, so now's our time to go up. Also, they saw two heroes split pushing, so they caught them off guard, which is a really good play as is. We can see the fight starts out, TB pops his Manta, and all of a sudden, he does not die. It's not, like the best positioned fight in the world, but because he got that Sunder off so well, the enemy team has to hard overcommit to him, and yeah, they all die. The supports don't get gone out at all, because obviously the enemy team is going to go on to the TB that got skewered, but it wasn't enough, and now this game is 100% over. Sure, they don't win here. It does end up taking them 31 minutes and 52 seconds, but you can see a beautifully timed fight, and that is the decision-making of high MMR players. They had a 20-second window on RP to go, they immediately took it with the DD. Yeah, that's how you get to 8K, guys, or 9K. You got to be able to make decisions like that and get your entire team coordinate around it. Is it hard? Absolutely. But, that's how you get good. You do the hard stuff. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned that you do need to hit a lot of creeps in the early game as Underlord. This is something I always see players get backwards, and I need you to make sure you're hitting your timings and splitting up the map. Remember, Underlord does not want to create space by fighting, he wants to create space by drawing attention to himself and farming at the same time. That is the optimal way to play this hero, because when you start trying to look for fights, all of a sudden you realize, wow, I'm not that fast of a hero, and on top of that, my spells don't really let me close the gap. So thanks for watching, I'll see ya in the next one, and peace. Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to GAMELEAP.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream, and that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're gonna see there, and I hope to see you there right now, so click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.